This is Frank Campenello, and you're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast.
Philosophy Podcast. Sony makes an air-conditioned shirt. We give you our thoughts on the shootings in America. And our special guest, upcoming chef Frank Campenello, listen to his story on how he lost 245 pounds. All that and more in this episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, where it's two guys take on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy, and you, the listener, are getting a degree in common sense. We are broadcasting from the Busted Knuckles studio right here in beautiful downtown historic Concord, North Carolina. I'm your host, Biggin, and how about you? We've got a great show lined up for you, as always, but before we begin, let me introduce you to the second half of this flaky biscuit. That's right, I'm talking about the pride of Anderson, South Carolina, but most of you probably know him best as the Silver Tongue won 2016's Honorable Mention Keto Salesman of the Year, the inventor of the Redneck Egg Roll. Give it up on old mic number one. It's Mojo!
As we say in the South, raise hell, praise Dale.
Oh, there it is. Come on.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in once again to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. Man, we're just want to say thanks to all the new listeners, and we'll go over some of the random cities that you guys are tuning in from, but we've seen quite a bit of uptick. We appreciate that, guys. Go to our Southern Fried Philosophy website at southernfriedphilosophy.com, Facebook page is Southern Fried Philosophy. You can also check us out on the Twitters and Instagram at SFP Radio. If you want to become a subscriber, go to patreon.com/SFP Radio. Also our youtube.com/SFP.
As we said before, it is free to you, but it is not free to us. So we would really appreciate it if you could be part of the SFP family. That'll allow us to do more events, be able to do this full time, hopefully, and just bring you better content, better guests, and a more frequent timeline. So we would appreciate it. Check us out at our website, southernfriedphilosophy.com, and you could check the Patreon link, and you could be part of the SFP family, so we would appreciate that. Also, if you would like to hang out with us, as we have our guests tonight, Marty and Leanne, they're hanging out with us. They send us an email at sfpradio@gmail.com, and they themselves are sitting in the Bad Mother Smokers smoking hot seats. Appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with us today.
Glad to be here.
Hello, how are you?
By the way, what's any new beers upcoming or on tap right now? By the way, Marty's from Commenters for our new listeners.
Yep.
We've got, we just introduced our Revolver Tap about a week ago. Revolver Tap is basically we're making small batches of just different things that whatever comes up in the mind of our brewers. They're doing about a 10 to 12 gallon batch of it. So there's going to be two kegs,
limited quantity.
Very limited quantity. And as soon as one drops off, we just, tap another one. Right now, we've got a Belgian double on. Quite good, very malty, very sweet, very nice beer. Right
not
behind
keto.
That, not keto. Without, yeah. And even worse, not keto. The next one is a honey porter.
Ooh.
So that's going to come up next. And then there's a white IPA coming behind that, I believe. And then they made a Finnish beer. Cannot remember what style it's called because I'd never heard of it before. But
Bankrupt.
Possibly.
Okay.
But it's brewed using fir leaves and berries, or fir twigs and berries.
Man, I'm glad you finished that.
FIR, yeah.
Not FUR, just to be
the twig, furry
twigs and berries.
Twigs and berries. Yes.
I think I'm going to pass. I'll be honest with you.
But they're pretty excited about that one. And then for those who like the black IPA, which I know Leanne is definitely one of those.
Big fan.
That's coming back within the next couple of days. It should be back on.
All right, so it's early August here.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't released a pumpkin beer for the white girls yet?
No, we typically don't do a pumpkin beer.
Right.
We do have a spiced ale that we do every fall. It's quite good. It's called Beer Masala.
Mm-hmm. That is very good. And
that should be back on tap right about the time that the girls start wearing their boots and vest again.
The
Han Solo
Uggs,
Uggs and the vest.
Uggs and the workout yoga pants.
As they say, the boots with the fur.
I Apple bottom jeans.
Yeah, and I can't. Yeah, I just had a thought that I can't share.
I understand. It is a family show, and we appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming in and we're hanging out here, and I'm sure we'll get into some hot and juicy topics.
Oh, come on with it.
Looking forward to it.
And speaking of, we were talking about the SFP insiders being part of the SFP family. We're actually, this Monday, we're going to be becoming 2 commoners and doing our first SFP After Dark.
Yep.
So
Explain After Dark.
It's basically, because you say I hold you back.
This is the adult version of the show.
It's basically us setting up the equipment at commoners, and I'm going to hit record, and then you guys just do whatever you want to do. That's the extent of that.
So you're not going to add in?
Oh, I'll add in, but I'll probably be in the underneath the table crying.
So
Do you hear yourself? That's extremely dangerous.
Oh, it's good. That's why it's After Dark, baby.
you do realize that we're closed to the public that day.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So it's like open bar.
Well, I've already got an Uber planned in my future. So.
It's open bar and an open mic.
Oof.
Yeah,
Yeah,
buddy.
buddy.
Open bar, open mic. It's dangerous. That's a dangerous
Man,
product.
and Leanne's going to be at her parents', so I might have to find myself a way home.
Need to Uber home, babe.
So yeah, we're excited about that. So the SFP insiders are the only ones that will be able to get the SFP After Dark. So you have to be a Patreon subscriber to be able to do that. So if you want to hear all the shenanigans, do that. Also, if you want to hear us, you can check us out at States Vegas Radio, Monday at 6 p.m. and Friday at 4. So you can download the app. This week only, you can download States Vegas Radio, use the promo code MOJO, and you can get it for free. We're not going to charge you a dime for it. So check out that app as well. We have next week, we have Cities for Life. So we talked about them before. Mojo, do you want to kind of prep them?
Yeah, we'll have the executive director, Daniel Parks, on from Cities for Life. And basically, they're just a nonprofit that goes around and they use a unique tactic in front of abortion clinics. They park out a free ultrasound, and any prospective mothers out there, they can more than welcome and actually come in and take an ultrasound, and that way they can kind of get a little extra outside opinion on what to do. And I think they have actually 500 mothers that actually chose life in front of that abortion clinic. And the cool thing about Cities for Life is they actually don't just drop the ball there. They actually are there for the mother's needs. They throw them baby showers and things like that because a lot of these young ladies and women don't have support systems. So, after seeing that story a couple times, I had to reach out to them and had to have them on.
That's awesome, man. I'm really excited to have them and hear their stories. We all want to say shout out and thank you to our new listeners from Orlando, Florida, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Barcelona, Spain.
Or is that Barcelona? Because they said I remember reading
Barcelona?
something. Yeah, Barcelona. Now, my understanding of that region, this could be urban legend. I don't know. But I had someone that was from Spain who used to work for me, and they said they pronounced it Barcelona because I guess one of the young rulers there had a speech impediment, and that's how he pronounced it.
How about you?
He made it a royal edict, and supposedly they had to all say that.
Very cool.
I don't know if that's true. That could be urban legend, but...
Also want to point out another event. If you're driving, I'll excuse you this one time, but if you're not, put it down on your calendar. September 4th. See, I did it again. September 4th, we're going to do a mobile event at Hunter House and Garden. Our special guest will be Matthew Doherty, the former Atlantic 10 Conference commish. Also was the UNC head basketball coach. Yeah, I think he played a little ball for a couple of years. So he will be on our show. We'll be hanging out with Watchman Cigars and having a good time and enjoying that.
I'd like to see that one, to be honest with you. He was actually a Tar Heel when I was like little. He was the second Tar Heel team I remember watching as a kid. He was on that team.
Oh, wow.
So that would be kind of cool. He was the teams he was on went to back-to-back national championship games. They lost to Indiana one year, and then they beat Georgetown the next.
Interesting.
So he was a very four-year player for him. He's a cool dude.
Very cool. Well, if you are an SFP insider, you will get you can reserve your seats, so you'll be at the front. So Marty, you can do that. That'd be fun.
Sweet. I'd love to do it.
So anyway, reserve that, or just know that it's going to be available there. Mojo, I'm going to ask you like I ask you every week. How you be darn?
I think we talked about this last week, maybe, but Satan has arrived in Concord.
Oh boy! Don't talk about your mother again like that. Your mother-in-law. She doesn't like that.
Yeah, they opened up a Krispy Kreme right beside the Chick-fil-A, and that is just. I try not to even go by that area anymore.
Well, I posted the picture where it's like Jesus went to go prepare a place for us. Man. This is what he meant: the Krispy Kreme next to the Chick-fil-A.
There ain't nothing Jesus about that, because I'm telling you, that is two of my vices in life: is Chick-fil-A and Krispy Kreme. Mm-hmm. If you would have had a Bojangles right beside that. I mean, that would be one-stop shop.
That's the Holy Trinity right there, my friend. Jeez. I mean, right there.
You can gain weight just driving by and smelling that. It's like 5 pounds of like aroma.
Son, it's brutal. And they have, I think this is a new flagship store for Krispy Kreme too. So they have this like design your own donut crap. I'm still a purist. If it's not glazed with a little dip, I don't really want it. I don't have to have, crushed box cereal on top of my donut. Right. So I'm a purist, but they do have this kick-ass hot sign. I mean, it is enormous.
It's like the bat signal, if you kind of picture it like that.
It is.
It's pretty awesome.
It speaks to you. It's like calls.
I mean, you can feel yourself driving down 85 in your car, truck, whatever, just wanting to take the off-ramp to get there. I mean...
Well, you've been there. You guys have driven by.
We actually tried to go, I guess 2 weekends ago, and it was like an hour and 20-minute wait to get a donut. And I'm like, you know what? My son's in the back seat complaining that he wants a donut, and I'm like,
it looked like there were police officers directing
traffic.
They still are. As of today, they still are.
Well, so I had to go do this Walmart pickup, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But then I was driving down. I was down the road, and I was like, "There's no police cars." And it was about 8:00 in the morning. There's no police cars. So I kind of nudge up I get to the light, and I still don't see any police cars. And I'm going to say, well, I'm going to try this thing. Went around the corner, no line, just went right in.
They were closed.
No. When
magic hour.
Took my order. It did take a little bit of time to get around the corner and get my stuff. By that time, they were already starting to get a little cold, which made me frustrated. So I ate one. I took the rest of them back to the wife and kids. So
yeah, I'll never forget. I ate most of the box when I got them.
But they were hot then, right? Yeah. These were starting to cool off. They were pretty cold at that point.
I'm a little lucky. There's one on Independence Boulevard, and I drive by it every morning on my way to work. So I've kind of gotten numb to it. The fact that I pass it every single morning.
I don't ever want to know that feeling.
Except for when Connor goes to work with me for whatever reason, like he sees it from a mile and a half away, and it's like all I hear is, "Can we stop and get donuts? Can we stop and get donuts?"
I never want to be numb to a Krispy Kreme or a Chick-fil-A.
Sure.
I do not want that.
You've lost your soul at that point.
Absolutely, yeah.
So at some point, a cat jumped on your chest, stole your soul, and you no longer like Chick-fil-A or
possession
Krispy Kreme.
Of it. Yeah, I agree.
So here's the life changer for me this week. The wife said, I need you to go pick up groceries. Oh, God, that's the thing I hate the most. Like, it is the worst. Because she'll give me a list, and no doubt I'll pick up the completely wrong thing.
Of course.
1,000 times. I will say one time she told me to get a sour cream, and I got whipped cream. That was on me. I'll own that one. That was a complete bumfuzzle. I own it. But most of the time, it's like, well, I wouldn't have gotten this brand. I would have gotten this brand. Well, why didn't you tell me to get that brand? Because I would have gotten that brand if you told me. She has a very good way of leaving things out that are evidently crucial and critical for me to go shopping. So she said, I need you to go pick up groceries. I'm like, this is going to end up horrible. I'm not looking forward to this. And then she said, but all you have to do is just park the car. I've got it all taken care of. It's Walmart pickup. You just sit there. And I'm like, oh, well, how about you? I'm all about this right now. Hey, I can do this.
Honey-do list taken care of.
Done. So I roll up, and it gave me she told me to download the app. I got the app. It gave me a little notification. Hey, your order's ready. I pull up. It says, what spot are you in? I said, numero uno. 5 minutes later, the guy comes out, puts the stuff in the car, shuts it, and we're gone. This is genius. This is the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. Have you experienced the Walmart pickup?
No, I'm a hands-on shopper.
Oh,
because see, here's the thing about us is that we can't buy for like 5 days worth of crap because something will interrupt us, and all of a sudden you got $40 worth of fish that's gone bad in the fridge. I mean, it's happened that too many times. I'll be honest with you, if we buy 2 days worth of food, we're doing good.
The minimum you got to spend is $35, but it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. and you can pick it up and go.
As a snob, I don't like Walmart.
Listen,
I just.
I understand.
Other places are doing this as well.
I know that, but I'm saying Walmart in particular. Walmart is they somehow find the cream of the crap as far as type of employees. Not saying all Walmart employees are, because I have family that works at Walmart, but you know the type. The one you go in the store, they hate life.
Yeah,
you ask them where something's at, they say aisle 73. On the other side of the store, you get there. Well, no, conveniently, it's not. It's back where you originally started. You know, those type of employees.
Totally get it.
I also question, are they, hopefully they're hiring a better tier employee than they would, let's say, at McDonald's, who cannot ever get your order right, and you always leave McDonald's with something missing in your bag.
Yep.
Hopefully Walmart gets all that stuff in the bag.
They have. And they'll come and sell. They'll say, hey, we didn't have this item, so we substituted for this. Is that okay? Yes or no? No, they take it out. Yes, they keep it. And here's the great thing. I don't get blamed for screwing anything up. That's in itself perfect. But they've done a really good job. The other place you mentioned, like I think Harris Teeter.
Teeter does it. I think Food Line is starting one as well.
But here's the deal. You got to pay for that one. That one is like $100 a year.
Ugh.
Okay.
But there's no minimum order to get. So you can be like, I want a stick of gum.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
And see, I think one thing, I'm kind of keeping up with this because I'm the grocery shopper in our house. I do all the grocery shopping.
Do you blame Leanne for messing it up?
No, she does a pretty good. We use Alexa, the list function on Alexa.
Okay, so I ended up with 2 bottles of Biotin oral mouth rinse for dry mouth.
Is this
when I wanted Biotin, which is a vitamin
for hair?
So he does do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Alexa can't spell.
Sure.
Alexa
so now we're
cannot
blaming it
spell.
on. Okay, I got you.
And she does have a little bit of an accent, so Alexa doesn't understand her sometimes.
True.
But
Alexa's too busy uploading all your stuff to
exactly.
FBI and CIA.
She's listening to all the stuff I say that the government wants to hear. But
what is it? You tell Leanne a joke and you laugh, Leanne laughs, and Alexa laughs.
Right behind me.
Yeah.
But and I think one thing that might be good about that is spending money. Like if you have a list and you buy it online, that's going to really cut down on the impulse buys if you walk and buy the Little Debbie's on sale because you didn't see the Little Debbie's on sale, so you didn't get 4 boxes.
They just released Count Chocula.
Or exactly, the Count Chocula with marshmallows or whatever it is. Yeah. And so I could see where that would be good, and that's a time saver as well. Just pull up, they load it, you're ready to roll. I
don't have to worry about going from aisle 1 to 73. The other thing too, it's not just groceries. She got me deodorant and the deodorant that I liked. Yep. She got some file folders. It's all over the map, so you can get. But
are you still the hero for doing the shopping, or does that drop down the Honeydew points list now that it's all easy online? All you have to do is pull up and they load your card. Do you not get as much credit for that?
I don't care.
Okay. So
I got the job done. I don't care.
It'll be my luck. The young kid comes out and hey, Brandon, we see that you ordered Arm & Hammer hemorrhoid remover, so we substituted it with Brand X hemorrhoid remover. Oh, by the way, we're out of the jock itch cream too. That'd be my level of embarrassment.
Well, if you're that embarrassed, you don't
order those items. You order those from Amazon.
I got you. Delivered. You're right about that. So.
Never mind. I'll save that one for after dark.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. All right, so let's go to some wacky news brought to you by our new sponsor, 1812 Barbecue. What a fantastic catering job this guy does. Fantastic food. So you'll be hearing an
Too bad we didn't invite him on the show today.
God bless the bear.
Good stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Give me his contact. I mean, we cater stuff at the brewery sometimes. I mean, we have our pizza kitchen now, but sometimes we have to do events that the pizza kitchen's just not really set up for.
Okay.
So if he does catering, give me the info.
You got it.
Talk to him.
Perfect.
All right, so let's go to some wacky news. Here is a story out of your hometown, home state, South Carolina. A masked man with balloons in one hand and a gun in the other robs a Dollar General store, the police say. A man wearing a Halloween mask and balloons in the other hand and a gun in the other robbed the North Carolina Dollar General on Sunday, in Henderson County Sheriff's Office said. Is that close to South Carolina?
It's probably about 30 minutes from the border.
Not even close then.
Henderson County is Hendersonville.
It's
not far from Asheville.
That's considered Western North Carolina, towards Asheville area.
Okay.
But there's, 25 takes you towards Greenville, Travelers Rest area. So it's about probably 30 minutes.
Is there a description of the mask?
Oh, yeah. Hey, buddy. The robbery took place at 9 a.m. at the Dollar General, which that's when the good robberies take place, you know.
Well, also the good robberies take place at the Dollar General.
At the Dollar General, yeah.
Let's hit up a high-value target. Let's hit the Dollar General.
After getting the money, the masked bandit ordered the employees to lay down on the ground, and then they took off in a van, quote, described as rust-covered in the late 80s, a Chevrolet or GMC.
Well, thanks. You just gave a description of probably 30% of the vehicles in Henderson County.
The mask was a vampire-like
that's creepy.
mask. He was also, again, carrying the balloons. Here's what got me, is when he left the Dollar General, he was en route to Transylvania County.
Oh,
nice. That's a nice touch.
That is well done.
I think, maybe he doubled back, but the Transylvania thing's to throw him off.
Right.
Dracula's going home.
It was like Scooby-Doo, like, who is you, masked man?
See, I was wondering, the reason I asked about the mask is I figured it might be a clown mask since he was carrying balloons. That would look a whole lot less suspicious. If you're a vampire carrying balloons, that's going to raise some red flags. You go, wait a minute, there's something odd about this dude.
That's the question. So the guy was wearing the mask, blue and white flannel shirt, blue jeans, gray gloves, and a camouflage hat. The employee said he was speaking with a Spanish accent. But can I just show you the picture? The guy won't put down the balloons during the robbery. That's what owns me like none other. Like, he loves these said balloons. He's robbing them with the balloons in hand.
I wonder if he tied them to his wrist to keep from losing them like you do with a little kid. Maybe he didn't have to hold on to them because he tied them out.
Did they find the person?
He is still at large. He's still at large.
Hey, senor.
There's your mask, by the way. And I'll have this.
That's the old dude from the Munsters, man. That's Grandpa Munster.
It is. You're right. It's Grandpa Munster. There it is.
It was like Grandpa Munster with a unibrow.
It's because the mask is laying flat.
Yeah, okay. If Anthony Davis was the Uncle Munster, we'll have the story and the pictures on our website and our show notes. So I just thought that was funny. That one kind of owned me for a little bit. The 1812 barbecue story started over 20 years ago when Eric and his dad started entering local barbecue competitions for fun. During that time, Eric, a United States Marine, has traveled all over the world picking up flavors and techniques that today is the unique flavor of the award-winning 1812 barbecue. He has honed his craft to bring you the fall-off-the-bone pulled pork, the mouth-watering ribs, and finely crafted beef brisket. Eric has developed his own amazing dry rub and delicious barbecue sauce. And let's not forget those sides with the coleslaw, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, cowboy baked beans, and to top it all off, banana pudding and pecan pie for dessert. Getting hungry yet? Good. Call or email Eric at 1812 Barbecue and he can make your next catered meal happen. Weddings, graduation parties, family reunions, and other events will be memorable with 1812 Barbecue. Want to try your hand at smoking meats? Pick up your own 1812 dry rub and start the journey for yourself. Shipping all over the world. Connect with Eric on his Facebook page, Instagram at 1812 Barbecue, or call 704-604-5148. That's 704-604-5148. And email Eric at eric.line@1812bbq.com, and he will be glad to help. Our next story is something that I think I'm going to enjoy immensely. Sony is making a silent, wearable, air-conditioned shirt available next year.
Nice.
Wow.
Explain this tech.
Because, of course, global temperatures have been rising.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We've got to find a way to beat the heat. So Sony is working on a air conditioner that goes around the collar of your shirt that will be an air conditioner and
blow down into
your shirt. Yeah. It promises to keep you cool. So far, the temperatures are creating some pretty interesting numbers. On your back, it'll go from 97 degrees, and it'll cool it down to 73 degrees. Ooh. The app on the device will be controlled via Bluetooth, and pricing it at about $117.
Wow.
For this, but it's removable. You put it on different shirts, and you're good to go.
Think about it. That would revolutionize football in the South.
Oh yeah. You're right about that.
I mean, think about sitting at a football game. It's 1 billion degrees on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. Sunny side of the stadium. Oh, that would be or also revolutionized grilling in the South.
Oh, yeah.
You're standing out because
so
my
hot.
grill at like 4 o'clock and
So
5 o'clock
hot.
in the afternoon, the sun is just baking you. And you're standing in front of the six. I mean, I'm telling you.
I can see it now. It could be at a football game and Marty, I'm sweating like a pig. What's got your nipple so hard over there? Cut diamonds. It's my new Sony shirt.
It's my new shirt.
The release date now is March 2020, and it will be in Tokyo during the 2020 Summer Olympics.
Wow.
Good timing there, Sony. And then hopefully we'll be able to buy it here in the U.S. Would you pay $117 for it?
No.
No?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For that?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm too frugal.
Maybe I would do it as a product testing thing.
Oh, okay. See
Get
if
it
you
for
could
free and get to keep it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It'll probably be available in like 5 years on like the Father's Day gift aisle at Target for like it's a knockoff.
As seen on TV.
Yeah.
Listen,
Get a free Gotham skillet with a purchase.
there's nothing better for a fat man than an air conditioner. And having a one portable, that's perfect.
It's a game changer.
It's a game changer.
Absolutely.
I enjoy my air conditioned seats.
So you're not kidding, man. When we went on that bourbon trail, I loved it. So now I'm like getting like those little fans and just shoving them down the seat. Not quite the
that
same.
don't work the same.
Yeah. So all right. So let's go into some. Marty, did you have a?
I did actually. I had something. I was driving home from work today, and I was behind this car at a traffic light, and I couldn't believe what I saw. The car had Lamborghini written on the back of it. And I'm like, okay, this is obviously, but it was a hatchback sport utility SUV like Karen, president of the Homeowners Association, would drive.
Lamborghini?
Lambo.
And I was like, Lamborghini's supposed to be like,
like
sports car.
Something
Right.
that'll do 200 miles an hour with your hair on fire.
Sure.
Not something you go pick up the kids from soccer practice in.
Right.
And for a moment, I just felt like part of my childhood died.
Oh.
Just sitting there looking at that. I'm like, who
that
was the brain surgeon that came up with this?
Well, yeah, because that was always the Matchbox or Hot Wheels car that you had to have, the Lambo or the Ferrari.
Well, the Ferrari was Magnum PI, and I think, what was it? Heather Thomas had the poster of her on the Lamborghini at some point.
Probably so.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, was it Miami Vice as well?
Yeah, I think it was.
They probably had them in there.
They had 'em, yeah.
But yeah, the Lambo Countach. That was the car to have.
That
and
was
now
fantastic.
they're making yuppie sport utility vehicles.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
So bottom line, they sold out and you're sad.
I'm just like, I don't even know if they call it selling out. I mean, I guess they own the company and do it
When you
but
when you got to get the kids across town to play soccer, just hop in the old Lambo.
I was like, it just didn't fit. You see some things that just don't add up.
Yeah. No,
that was one of those things that just doesn't add up to me.
It's one of those things where when a kid says, "Yeah, my dad drives a Lamborghini," you don't think of a SUV.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you might as well just get the old.
I can't wait for that.
Force One.
I can't for like the first one that gets like maybe 15 years old and some redneck buys it.
Oh yeah.
And totally drops it low rider.
Or puts a light kit on it, a sky kit, fog lights,
sky kit with the neon under the
could
wheel
possibly,
wells.
or have the General Lee painted on the side. I can see it now. This is going to be awesome.
You talk about one of the things that surprised you. A couple weeks ago, we had Coop from the 7773 Foundation. I didn't get to talk about this, but he let me drive the Tesla, and I thought electric car. In my head, I'm thinking Prius, whatever. I don't know, but I'm not kidding. I barely pushed that pedal halfway down, and dude, I was hitting the back of the seat. It was insanely powerful. It was like a roller coaster on that thing.
Yeah, they're pretty intense. They're pretty cool.
Wow,
That's our goal
awesome.
now.
Yeah, we thought I
one.
told you like we need to split one.
It should hit Elon up if he'd sponsor the show.
Oh,
That'd be so nice.
That would be fantastic.
I'll tell him I have some weed for him
Wait, what?
because he went on the Joe Rogan show. That's what.
Yeah, he smoked weed with Joe Rogan.
Oh, how about you? Oh, we don't have that here.
Tank the stock the next day.
It did.
All right, let's go to our hot topics brought to you by Watchman Cigars. If you want a quality cigar at a reasonable price, check out our friend at Watchman Cigars. The views and opinions of Southern Fried Philosophy are not necessarily those of our guests, sponsors, or friends of the show, but they should be. So this isn't a hot topic. This is a story that I thought, Mojo, you sent me that was heartwarming, fantastic. There was a woman in Pinson, Alabama. it all started with a letter in her mailbox, no return address, no name, just words. She said, I opened it and I was pretty much shamed for my yard. The writer of the letter accused her of not caring about her home. She said that the letter said it was an eyesore. It's affecting our resale value of our homes and that you need to do better. The recipient, Randa Raglan is her name. She said, I first felt a little angry, but then she went to social media just to kind of let everybody know what was going on. Her focus has been turned on her family, especially her 3-year-old son. He's autistic, he's nonverbal, and a few days before his third birthday, he was diagnosed with neuroblastoma stage 4 cancer. So she put that on social media, and somebody just picked that up, and it started to go viral. She said very soon, shortly after that, people were coming to her yard. A landscaping crew was there, did the whole thing, didn't even say anything, and asked for payment or anything. So just they did her yard and then took off. And then the rest of the week, people were coming by her home, doing yard maintenance, fixing her home, just really kind of coming together.
For the kids.
Diapers for the kids, just really coming together. And even one volunteer recently just lost his daughter 2 weeks ago and said, this is a part that I'm doing this to help heal my own self. And so Hot Topics doesn't necessarily have to be hot, like crazy news.
Sure.
But I thought this was a really good
it made me feel good because
that you said, yeah.
Yeah, because, with news now, and we've said this before, if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. I mean, that's what the news gets. The news the stories that lead usually bleed. That's how they get ratings. That's how they get people to watch. That's how they get ad buys and sponsorships. So stories like this, these are the ones we need to highlight.
Yeah, definitely.
And this happened in rural Mississippi. Randa Raglan is a black lady, and people of all colors came and helped her.
Yeah,
they didn't question.
Yeah,
they didn't ask her religion. They didn't ask her if she was part of a certain societal group, whatever. They just came out and they met the need where it needed to be met.
And to be clear, she posted on Facebook just to say, hey, this is what's going on. She wasn't looking for charity. Yeah. She wasn't looking for any help. She was just saying, if you did this, if you know me, like, here's the situation that's going on. She says that she's still in shock. She doesn't have a large family. She said her mom's gone, my dad's gone, my brother's gone. And it means a lot. So there's a GoFundMe to help Jackson's medical bills. But, oh, man, what a feel-good story.
Well, what broke me down in tears, and I have no problem admitting when watching this video, one of the guys actually helping, his daughter passed away from the same disease her son has about a week before.
Yeah.
So, man, what a therapeutic thing. That's the reason why I love to give back to people and to help people, is because it makes me feel good, too. It's anytime you donate something or you do something good, it is a pure endorphin dopamine rush for yourself too. Yeah. And selfishly, that's the reason why I like to volunteer for things and get myself into stupid volunteering situations, just because I like that high.
Yeah.
Well, that story for me is a really good example of a lot that's wrong with this country right now and a lot that's right with this country.
Yeah.
The person that started this, instead of saying, oh, I wonder what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Let me go knock on her door and see if there's something I can do to help this. Instead, does one of the most petty things you can do, which is anonymously try to slander somebody.
Exactly. Yeah.
And which is basically the American way right now on social media. If you can anonymously slander others, that's basically what the internet's for. But, so she did this, and the lady's like, you know what? She felt enough that she had to express it somehow. So obviously, she reached out on social media because maybe that's her outlet. Maybe that's what she can do. And then the right side of things are all these people saw it and go, you know what? Yeah, we're going to do something about this. We can't do much, but we can do something.
But collectively.
Yeah, exactly. You can move a mountain if you get enough people together.
Yeah. And I bet the neighbor who saw this and then wrote the letter, man, they got to feel like a big ass jerkwad. I'm telling you right now. They have to. Yeah.
I hope it made a dent.
If they're smart enough.
I hope it made a dent. If it doesn't make a dent, I mean, that doesn't. Man.
We'll have the link to that story and the GoFundMe on our show notes right now. It looks like out of the goal is $25,000. They've raised $17,500.
Oh wow! Actually, it was 10. The goal was $10,000 the other day. And, wow! And I think they had it. I think halfway at that point. So there's obviously medical expense. I mean, cancer treatment's not cheap, and cancer treatment for a pediatric case is definitely not cheaper. So, if you can donate a few bucks, do it.
That'd be great. If you are in the market for a high-quality cigar for a very reasonable price, you must check out Watchman Cigars. Watchman Cigars is a family-owned business that puts the customer first with the best customer service in the business. Watchman Cigars offers the Habano for a full, spicy flavor, the Connecticut for a mild, easy-to-smoke option, and the Maduro for a strong, powerful experience. They even do specialty blends and partner with you to provide a custom exclusive line just for you. Watchman Cigars has all your cigar needs. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Watchman Cigars 1991 or email Leon directly at Watchman_cigars@yahoo.com. That's Watchman_cigars@yahoo.com. Or check out the sponsors section of our website. Mojo, we don't want to go any longer without talking about the mass shootings that happened. So I know you wanted to bring that up.
I'd never like to respond to anything right immediately when it happens because, people have just lost loved ones. You don't have all the facts. I used to be a very knee-jerk reaction type person. And then facts would come out and then you'd have to change your position or ratify your position or hold the position and look like a moron. So, but for our international listeners, I'm sure you've heard, that we had two fatal back-to-back mass shootings. It was, I guess, a 13-hour period. We had the first one start out in Texas, El Paso, Texas, 22 confirmed killed, and then another 26, I believe, injured. Then also in Dayton, Ohio, we had over 10 killed, and then I think another 20. There's claiming 27 injured, but actually only 13 of them were by gunfire. So I'm sure
there were several injured fleeing the scene,
trying
to get away from the gunfire.
So mass stampede.
Yep.
So
and there was actually a third. There was 7 shot at a playground in Chicago the next day.
Oh wow,
that's Chicago though.
But still,
Yeah,
I mean,
I know what you're saying. Yeah. And so I guess we just want to kind of talk about this as kind of maybe a roundtable forum. I mean, I have my vivid opinions on how things should be, and of course now. This is a reason why I'm not a Republican and also I'm not a Democrat. It's because I firmly believe in the Second Amendment, and we've already got several members of the GOP now trying to make a bipartisan bill for laws to be passed for guns. So, I'm never a big fan of making laws due to emotional impact. Because I think you can. That's a slippery slope. We always talk about slippery slopes, but I think that can be a slippery slope where we enact some stupid stuff that it's harder to undo than to maybe find out what the root cause is.
Yeah. Patriot Act being in.
Patriot Act is a great example. There's probably a handful of laws that we probably could quote that have been reactionary laws that really have no intended use, but it just encroaches on civil liberties.
Yeah, I mean, I know we say this and people get sick of hearing it, but thoughts and prayers to their friends and family of those folks. I don't know what it would take to make everybody happy.
There's no way.
And that's my point is you look at Chicago, LA, New York, Baltimore, who's got the toughest, strictest gun laws.
Detroit.
Detroit. Yeah. And it doesn't help. I think that it's, again, more of a heart issue. We've stopped valuing human life, and we can see that, and we can see the effect of that. I think that we have got to look at mental health. Why are these people doing this? What is the point? What is the common thread? And I see broken homes, and I see kids without dads and parents that are there to tell them no. So, I mean, what's it going to take? I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you said conditions of the heart and, what's it going to take? Because actually there's a group that was funded by the National Institute of Justice. It's a research arm of the U.S. Department of Justice, actually went back and basically went back to the database of all mass shootings since 1966. And they went back and looked at 4 things that all shooters had in common? Well, this is 4 things that kept coming up. Vast majority of the mass shooters had experienced some type of childhood trauma, exposure to violence at an early age. So therefore, they suffer with depression, anxiety, thoughts of disorder, thoughts of suicide, things like that. Secondly, every mass shooter studied had a crisis point within weeks or a month that leading up to it that could have been identified. So you had job termination, loss of loved one, breakup, relationships ending, things like that. So there's been traumatic events that have sparked that kind of maybe downward spiral. Thirdly, most of the shooters sought validation for their motives. The crisis had presented itself, and they seek some type of validation for who they are. And a lot of times when, I guess we kind of talk about the validation, for the third and fourth things that they had in common kind of come in play. And the fourth thing, they had the means to carry out. Now, once they decided to do this, they had the means. So they either had access to weapons, some sort, bombs, cars, because we've seen that too, mass murders of cars, knives, things like that. But when they decide to do this, a lot of these guys, they want to be rational. A lot of these guys do. They'll write some type of manifesto. They'll write some type of notes explaining their actions. They've had some of them that do videos. They want people to understand them. So there's 4 things all these people have had in common. But let me break out some other statistics. I thought this was kind of interesting. 80% of school shootings, the perpetrators got their weapons from family members. Workplace, usually as a personal. And then mass shooters who have gone out and just done random things actually had illegal weapons. But school shootings is kind of, family members. So that's one thing I think we can do for gun violence is, if you're a family member, lock up your guns.
Yeah.
And things like that.
That's a good point.
But I think with people, reason why people seek validation is because the media gives them the hype. This also study actually has tracked the media coverage and the spike of increases in mass shootings. The first thing you see when you turn on the news is big bold-faced type of how many kills, how many dead, how many injured. And it almost seems like the study says that it almost seems like they're trying to one-up each other.
Like a scoreboard?
Almost, yeah. And they said, I've been reading some this week, how the likelihood of another shooting goes up drastically in the 3 weeks following a shooting. So we've had really... the media covered 3. We've had 4 in the last 3 weeks. We had the one at the Garlic Festival in California, and the one in El Paso. We had the one in Dayton, and then we had the one in Chicago. That they haven't said whether or not the one in Chicago was really a random or if it was a targeted thing. They haven't come out and said one way or the other on that. But obviously the Garlic Festival in El Paso and Dayton, that was just people randomly shooting people. I agree. There's no easy answer on any of this. Again, lock up your guns.
Number one.
But I think the mental health thing has got to be addressed. I think
I agree with that.
You've got to. Somebody knew that those guys were at a breaking point. Somebody. How often do you hear a story of a mass shooting and they interview people on the news and says, man, we never saw that coming.
Yeah.
That just came out of the blue. We had no idea he was crazy or he would do something like that. There's always 3 or 4 people that they interview or talk to afterwards says, oh, like the dude in Ohio. Yeah, he had a kill list in high school of kids he wanted to shoot.
Yeah.
Or in the South, we say, that boy, all right.
Yeah. And, it's very rare that one of these events happens that nobody saw it coming.
Well, but also, we're asking the government to put restrictions on guns. And we're asking them to enforce it. Now, let's keep in mind the Parkland shooter was actually visited by the FBI over 30 times, but they couldn't do anything.
Right.
Or they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But we're asking the same government to keep us safe. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think this, every time this happens, I think, and I'll say this through the lens of our faith, is I think that it's an indictment of the church. That the church should be there for those people to create community. We're not showing love. We're being part of the division that's happening in our country. Where it's us versus them. We're also pushing that narrative that it's them and it's us. We're dividing America. We're part of the problem of putting people in their little buckets. And I don't see anywhere where Jesus said, you can hang out with this group of people, but don't hang out with the other group. In fact, it was the opposite, right? Jesus hung out with the people that nobody else wanted to hang out with.
Get outside your comfort zone.
Our church can be very polarizing, and ostracization happens. And I hate that. And you're exactly right. That's probably something that I've never thought of, is that the church is complicit in this.
I think that we've also broke down community. Community, even if you have a broken down family, that doesn't mean you break down your community. The people that are next door to you, the people that are across the street, the people that are, 4 houses down that need help. It's your job to go help them and to let them know that they're loved, that people will care about them, that if you need help, we are here. But we silo ourselves. We make it all about us, and we don't help others. The community has broken down. And until we wake up and stop listening to the lies of media, social media, whatever anybody wants you to believe, guys, we're Americans. Who cares what color your skin is? Let's come together and be unified. Because until there's unity, and until we value each other, and until we value life, this is just going to keep happening.
Oh, it's going to get worse, because the siloing you spoke of, it's so easy now. Most people's social interaction now is digital.
Mm-hmm.
So it is so easy to only interact with people who line up with you on 99%.
Mm-hmm.
Most people's biggest disagreement with their friends is, well, I like red sauce and I like Alfredo sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Earth-shattering disagreement.
Right.
Because they insulate themselves with only people who they already agree with.
Yeah.
There's no give and take. There's no common
sense.
Common sense.
One, and there's no compromise.
No back and forth. There's no compromise. No need to compromise. And so what you're doing is you're constantly getting these people that go, it's really easy to go from having, everybody outside of my circle must be crazy because everybody in my circle agrees with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you go from everybody outside my circle is crazy.
Yeah.
Eventually, you look at it right now politically, we've got people on the far right and the far left that think both of them are evil.
Right.
And
100%.
Kill all Nazis, kill all fascists,
Mm-hmm.
libtards. We need to flush the country full of libtards. If you don't like it, you can leave it. This is the kind of stuff that, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
And the people in the middle, realistically, I know, I don't mean to sound violent because it's not the right way to do it, but metaphorically, the people in the middle need to stand up, smack these people in the back of the head and say, sit down and shut up and let the adults run the thing for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
The inmates are running the asylum on both ends, and the normal people are too busy going to work every day and paying their bills to really care.
Yeah. The question is, where's Batman? Where is the person that's going to stand up and say no more?
It doesn't need to be a person. It needs to be people.
Right. And please understand, I'm not saying the next president or a president or any one person can do this besides Jesus. I think that there needs to be the collective of, we've got to come together. Both sides, we've got to be unified in this. Whatever the school shootings or whatever, but just love people. Why is this so difficult?
Well, it's because our culture right now, because, we act like this is a big deal. My heart goes out for the families because I've lost loved ones, but really, in essence, no one cares. This will be off the news.
Yeah.
We don't remember Parkland. We don't remember the gay club shooting in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
We don't remember any of that stuff because it goes by. And it's not because it's getting more frequent. Stuff's being reported on. But we have a penchant for violence in this country. Look at all the movies. The ones that are blockbusters, all gore. John Wick kills 733 guys in the first 2 minutes of a movie.
And nobody bats an eye.
Nobody bats an eye.
Well, to me,
let's be clear, too. Scar does kill Mufasa. There's that one.
Ooh, I have not seen Lion King yet.
Spoiler alert!
But, to me, the one that told me that nothing's going to change was Sandy Hook.
Mm.
Yeah.
That dude executed 6-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't register. There are people on both sides of the issue that are still talking about it because it's their pet issue.
Sure.
And I'm not trying to belittle it because I'm not. that's to me how serious it is. It's like a dude walked into an elementary school, executed 26 children, and a week later, it was off the front page of the news, and people were on to another topic of the day that was earth-shattering and going to kill everybody. Or be,
no, you're right.
And, if you can't come together and figure out how to prevent stuff like that from happening when it's that number of kids and that, it's not going to happen.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't want to steal from Vince Coakley, but I was listening to a show as well, but he said, who is the voice that's going to bring them together, to bring us together? He said, notice this shooting is very different than some of the others. As soon as it happened, most of the time, the nation, at least for a moment, stops and grieves together. And then a couple weeks after, here we go with the political stuff. That didn't happen at all this time.
No, that was like 10 minutes.
10 minutes, and now the Democrats are trying to raise money based off of this. It's a blurb that's coming out, it's a soundbite. But
Trump's raising money on it too. They're selling bumper stickers to say, if you like your guns, you can keep them.
So, I mean,
yeah, but also, he's also these guys are upsetting the constituency though, because
stirring them up.
Rep Crenshaw and Trump both have talked about these new red flag laws.
Yeah,
which, I mean, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, red flag laws they've got to be that one makes me cringe. Because it's that could be personal vendetta really easy.
It's subjective, yeah.
Can you maybe explain what the red law means?
Basically, the easiest one would be no domestic violence.
Oh yeah, well, I think we all agree on that.
So, well, no. Basically, simple. Say Leanne and I had an argument. This has never happened, but say Leanne and I had an argument,
ever,
and for whatever reason, she took out a restraining order on me as a result of that argument.
Sure.
At that moment, I forfeit my guns in this state. Because I'm a domestic violence threat.
Yeah, so
now maybe I'm a threat, maybe I'm not. I'm not saying that anyone would ever file a false police report because we both know that, or all know that never ever happens. But I mean, that's a red flag law. That there's no due process. I lose my rights based on the word of someone else until it gets sorted out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Guilty before innocent.
Prove your innocence to get your stuff back.
Exactly.
I've got some thoughts on some stuff we could do with guns that. I would used to be so pro Second Amendment that hey, if you're old enough to walk up and ask for a gun and you can show the responsibility to carry it, it's yours. But I'm more now. I do think there needs to be, with the number of people we have in our society and the tight quarters that we are starting to occupy, then there needs to be some level of training involved that's more than your dad taking you out in the backyard and teaching you how to shoot.
But you have to define that. And
well, I've got some thoughts on that actually. I think the government has a role to play in the fact that they issue permits now. You can't go buy a handgun now without a government permit, at least not legally. But I don't think the government should be in charge of deciding who gets a permit. I think that there should be a level of training involved to get a permit, but I think you should be certified by an agency, so not the government, because I have zero trust in the government I mean, they can't even collect taxes properly, let alone regulate anything efficiently. But I think once you get that permit, this is where the gun nuts are going to love me. It's nobody's business what you buy with that permit. If you can talk somebody into selling you a anti-aircraft gun, if you got the permit, you can buy it. But I think there has to be a certain level of training and mental competency. And I'm not saying, like I said, I don't want the government to determine who's mentally competent and who's passed the training. But I do think that there needs to be something done.
I don't even think here's the problem is this one of the outside problems of this is that you do all that 10 years later, you have a mental break, you go out and kill everybody. No one can tell you condition of your heart and your psychological status. There's problems with either A or B.
Right.
If we confiscate every gun out there by legal gun owners that are registered, criminality goes up. In fact, there's a chain with that. There's a reciprocal chain of you ban something, it becomes black market item. Mm-hmm. Black market item fuels more crime, and it's just a big circle.
The AR-15 was not a desired gun until Bill Clinton said you can't have it. Mm. And then all of a sudden, now we're piecing piecemealing the guns together, and an AR-15 is a perfect gun to do that.
Yep.
Then he became one of the biggest salesmen of guns, but next up was Obama to get those things sold. So,
and Obama never actually really banned anything.
Right,
He just talked about it.
In fact, Trump has banned more items than Obama did with the bump stocks,
executive orders and stuff.
But also with even the rhetoric right now he's talking about is even more vile than Obama's. What
do you guys think about limiting the magazine size?
Well, 1966, Whitman, last name Whitman. He's the one who did the Texas shooting.
Texas Library Tower.
Yeah. He killed 16 people, I think, in a 2.5-hour spree, and he used a rifle with a 3-round magazine.
Because he was in a spot where nobody could get to him.
Well, magazine capacity has nothing to do with it. And because magazine capacity, I mean, you could have
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit there. The dude in Dayton, he killed 9 people in less than 30 seconds.
I agree with you on that.
And he had a 100-round magazine, right?
Yeah, he had a 2-drum magazine, and if he'd had to stop and reload, maybe he doesn't. But I mean, still.
But see, here's the thing: criminals will always modify.
I agree with that.
Here's the thing: you can ban all 100-round magazine drums. Okay, there's probably a lot of people that would be for that. Well, what's to say that you can't take 3 30-round magazines, tape 1 up, 2 down?
You're still good to go.
Granted, you're 10 short, but
well, and here's the other argument: is the 3D printing will just make those and pop them out, no questions asked. So
are you going to ban 3D printing? I mean, and plus you have guns now that you can buy. You can buy a lower, an AR lower. You can buy AR rail system, and you can buy these individual parts as long as you have enough mechanical capacity. You can actually assemble these guns, which have no serial numbers.
Yeah. So,
and I mean, there are millions of illegal guns on the streets in this country already that nobody knows where they are, what they are. They're not regulated in any way, shape, or form. I mean, so if you start taking guns away from people who have them for legitimate purposes, it's just,
And I don't think, and maybe I'm naive, and tell me if I am, but I don't think any party, Democrat or Republican, legitimately want to take away all the guns. I think that's just a talking point from the Republicans.
There is an element of society that is hell-bent on removing public or private citizen gun ownership. There is, I would say, is probably 15 to 18% of the population is committed to that idea.
But there's 15 to 18% of people that want cupcakes for dinner. Like it's not legitimately going to happen.
Them having cupcakes for dinner is not going to impact my personal right to defend my family.
I understand.
No, I mean there's been statements by certain left-wing Democratic leaders who have talked about, Mr. and Mrs. homeowner or a gun owner, if you think you can keep your guns, well, we're going to take it away.
But I'm talking middle of the road.
Talking points. I know middle of the road. I don't know. Like I actually listened to Bernie Sanders today on Joe Rogan, and he
haven't made it to that one yet. I'm getting there.
I mean, I don't trust anything the guy says because his hand's in my pocket the whole time, but
and flailing around,
not in a fun way,
not in a fun way either. So I don't trust anything the guy says. But he's like, I'm from Vermont. We hunt. I can't take guns away from my constituents. I don't trust a leader as far as I can throw them, but it baffles me that we think modifications or we think a simple banning this item or tool will actually stop this. And here we're asking the government to ban something. Guess who the 2 largest gun running operations in the past 50 years have been? The United States government. Fast and Furious with Mexico. Iran-Contra, we ran guns. Half of the, in fact, some of the guns.
Don't forget Afghanistan in the early 80s.
Afghanistan in the 2000s. Yeah. But we ran guns. We ran guns in Mexico, just right below the border. We actually had one of those guns come back to kill several people in our own country, and also including a border patrol. So we're asking a government that's complicit in gun running to actually implement gun laws. It's just. That's like asking the wolves what they want to eat, as a sheep as a voting guide.
I think, and we'll wrap this up, but I think again, the key to this is to love your neighbor. Get to know who that person is, so that there is a sense of community, so people feel belong, so people feel that people care about them and have a relationship, maybe to talk them out of it.
That's always a key component. I mean, I think. love. I mean, that's some hippy dippy crap.
And it's not like that. What was it, Wiseman or whoever?
Well, if we follow the simple rule of love thy neighbor, I think we'd be a lot different position.
Yeah, and it's not hippy dippy. It's a legit. Do you care about your community?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was making it clear that we're not the hippy dippy love where we break out the patchouli oil and the Birkenstocks. I mean,
well, like Yael said, we can talk about the national debate, but what good is that going to do if you don't go down to the community level? And if you are really upset about people dying because of guns, go love somebody that you might think is a little not. I don't want to stereotype and be like, oh, this guy's weird, I'm going to go love him. But go take some cookies to your neighbor or have conversations.
We all knew that kid growing up that was just a little bit off.
Yeah.
That
was usually me.
And, you all, I mean, I guarantee every one of us has at one point made a joke. It's like, I would be surprised that guy shot someplace up one day.
Yeah.
So instead of saying that to your buddies, check on that guy.
Yeah.
See how he's doing.
Exactly.
Take a temperature. And hey, if something seems really off, say something.
Right.
It's, and again, there's no easy answer and you're never going to eliminate all of it. No. But, that's as an individual, you're going to accomplish so much more putting your arm around somebody that's a little off than you are ever demanding legislation or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. Maybe most of us need to take our noses out of the national debate on things and actually focus on the local level.
I mean,
people arm length distance away from you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a 13-year-old son, and I have this conversation with him all the time because I know what it's like to be a kid at school that's, kind of pushed, not ostracized, but just kind of pushed to the side. And I've seen it. I've experienced it. I'm like, don't be that guy that does that to people. Be the guy that brings those people in.
Yep.
And that's, because most of the shooters are young males.
Yeah.
That, not, mass shooters. I don't remember. There may have been one female mass shooter. I guess the San Bernardino, the couple out in San Bernardino. But outside of that, they're pretty much all male.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a dangerous combination of depression and testosterone and just this social media soup that stirs things up. Yeah. And nobody wants to talk about all the medication we're putting these kids on.
No, yeah. That's a good point. All right, guys, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have our special guest, Frank Campenello. He is a keto chef extraordinaire, ratatouille or something like that. Is that about right?
We're going to talk about chaffles.
All right, all that and more on this episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, I really do hope you love Southern Fried Philosophy. Did you know that you can actually get paid for listening to this podcast? I know it sounds insane, but it's true. We just discovered this free new app called Podcoin, and it literally pays you to listen to podcasts. Here's how it works. You listen to podcasts and you earn Podcoin while you listen. Then you turn that Podcoin into gift cards like places like Amazon or Starbucks. Or if you're a good person, you can even donate that Podcoin to charity. The more you listen, the more you earn. So here's what you do. Download the app right now on iPhone or Android, and I have a special code for you. Simply use our code Southern Fried, and you'll get 300 Podcoin just for signing up. And if you listen enough to us on there, you can get a cappuccino at Starbucks or an Amazon gift card on us. So go ahead and go listen to this podcast or virtually any podcast on Podcoin and sign up with code Southern Fried. It'll change the way you listen to podcasts.
All right, welcome back to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. Today on our podcast, we actually have a guy that I just met, but I've been following his blog for quite a while. I know this is kind of annoying because, that's what's the old joke, a CrossFitter, a vegan, and someone on the keto diet walking to the bar. How do you know? Because they all tell you, well, I'm proud to say that I've been on keto now for about 2 years, and I've lost 60 pounds. And I'm doing the lazy keto now, but I still maintain. Anyway, so I follow this guy's blog on a couple of Facebook pages. Started just following his blog and website because his recipes look awful delicious. It's more than just eggs and bacon and bunless cheeseburgers. So anyway, so we have Frank Campenello on. He runs a blog now called culinarylion.com. He has over 20 years experience as a chef opening up restaurants in the Mid-Atlantic area. Also award-winning barbecue. I guess that's what Godfather's Barbecue, correct?
Yeah, that's it.
And I guess his amazing journey, and the reason why I wanted to have him on is because he has lost 245 pounds. Wow. Congratulations, by the way.
Good job, sir.
So, welcome to the show, Frank.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right, so let's roll back here. So I guess what's your culinary specialty? What did you do for 20 years?
Oh, well, I guess my specialty was just opening up all different concepts. I'm from the Maryland area, so I've obviously done a lot of seafood, crabs, fish, stuff like that. But my heritage is Italian, so I do a lot of Italian cooking and kind of everything in between. I've done Irish pubs, I've done sushi restaurants, and that's kind of I get a call. They tell me they want to open up a certain type of restaurant, and then we start putting the menu together, start planning it out, and then a couple months later we open it up.
That's awesome. Well, with a name like Campenello, I couldn't imagine you being of Italian descent. So I grew up in the Italian classic chef training, so I'm very fond of that. Even though I'm just a Southern redneck boy, I do enjoy that culinary cuisine scene. But let's talk about barbecue. We're a big fan of barbecue here in the South. In fact, our last show we had on another award-winning barbecue guy. So what's your specialty in the barbecue field?
Oh, well, the category that we've done the best in is definitely ribs.
Come on.
We've definitely won some awards. I'm still on the fence as to which I like better, a St. Louis spare or the baby backs. But most of the competition, we end up doing St. Louis spares. And we've had a lot of good luck with that. We beat some guys that you see on Barbecue Pitmasters and, see them on the TV. And we've been able to kind of keep our head in the mix. We've been out of the game for a while just because my brother had some kids. I got some jobs that kind of tied me up in the summers, but we're getting back into it. And our first competition is actually this October down in Virginia.
Oh, nice. Are any of these sanctioned by like the KCBC or?
Yep. Cool. KCBS. Yeah. This is Q and Cruise, and it's in Louisa, Virginia. That's sometime in October. I got to look it up. But, that's a KCBS sanctioned. I think if you win it, you get an invitation to the Jack Invitational down in Lynchburg.
Oh, nice. Wow.
So cross my fingers on that one.
Well, hopefully so. Give us 1 second. We're trying to figure out what the technical difficulty. What? Is it good?
Yeah. Frank, can you talk just one more time? We're getting some feedback. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, so let's talk about your weight loss journey. So I guess what inspired you to take that on?
Well, it was a big, long story that, kind of has a lot of twists and turns. But the short version of it is I was working in the restaurants, and I'd been an athlete all through high school. And then after that, I broke my ankle. I was off my feet for probably 4 months due to surgery and just, being in rehab. And then I put on a ton of weight. I just put on a lot of weight, and then I got back into the restaurant business, and I had lost that athletic kind of, go get 'em spirit. And I just kept putting on the pounds, and over time and over the years, it packed on to the point where I couldn't do my job anymore. I couldn't stay on my feet all day. And you guys have got a little bit, restaurant life in you, and you know how it is. After work, you go out, you get some drinks, you get some pizza, you turn around, it's 4 a.m, and you do it all over again. And so that kind of whirlwind of just bad habits caught up with me. So I actually went down to a weight loss retreat in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And went down there for 5 weeks, and it wasn't keto. They don't really subscribe to any specific diet program, but it's healthy. It's real food. You kind of, retrain your brain a little bit and start practicing good habits. And one of the trainers I worked with down there had mentioned intermittent fasting to me. And at the time I hadn't ever done that or ever heard of it. And so basically, in layman's terms, you just kind of pick a window where you're going to fast. And that could be as little as 12 to 16 hours. It could be as long as, 4 or 5 days. So I started fasting for, I guess, the first 6 months. And I tell you, I lost 100 pounds very, very quickly. And I felt good doing it. I got really good at it. And then over time, I started researching the ketogenic diet. And that's basically where you're eating a high fat, moderate protein and keeping your carbs somewhere between 20 and 30 grams a day, depending on who you talk to. And I found that made it a lot easier for me to fast. So I kept on with that, and I'm still doing it today. And it was one of those things where I started taking pictures of the food I was cooking just to kind of, stick my head into the community and meet some people and just, talk, get ideas from other people. And then people started coming to me asking for recipes. And so I decided I'd start writing them down. And then I started taking better pictures. And then I started, actually putting the recipes up on the internet. And then I actually, I guess about a year and a half ago, I started my blog, culinarylion.com. And that's kind of bloomed into a lot of different opportunities for me. But that's basically become what I do nowadays.
Yeah, I could imagine, I guess, maybe another organic move for you on your website is to maybe start doing some live video. I noticed a lot of these guys actually try to do these live video segments on Facebook or other social media avenues to try to show people or encourage them as far as cooking and cooking techniques and things like that.
Definitely. The goal, I do have a YouTube channel, and it's Culinary Lion as well. And I've got, I think, 40 or 50 videos. Some are better than others. A couple of them are, a couple of the old ones are pretty rough to watch. So you might have to put them on mute because the free music that I downloaded is terrible. But yeah, I definitely want to get into more video. It's something I enjoy doing. I sometimes on like Instagram stories, I'll just kind of cook my dinner that night and take questions from people. Normally anything I post, within a matter of minutes, I'm getting, 20 questions about either the ingredients or how I cook something or, things like that. So yeah, I try to just be an open book as far as the culinary side of things and just, share recipe ideas and kind of talk shop with people.
Frank, this is a big one. One of the things I just want to clarify, when you first started, you said that you fasted for 6 months. That wasn't, you didn't eat anything for 6 months. Is that correct?
No.
Okay, all right. Just making sure.
Now, there are people that have done that, but that is a pretty crazy thing.
Sure.
No, what I would do is I would kind of rotate my fasting schedule. So the minimum would be 16 hours a day. So for 16 hours on any given day, I would only drink water and black coffee. And then in that 8-hour window, I would eat, a reasonable amount of calories. Then as I got into it, I started doing longer fasts. So sometimes I would go for 48 hours. The longest I've ever gone is 120 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's basically like a Monday through Friday. So I think Sunday night I ate dinner, and then it was water and black coffee until Friday night.
I'm going to call you Jesus going 40 days. Is that what's going on?
I
definitely don't walk on water. I sink very easily.
I would be one grumpy individual if I go maybe 12 hours without food.
Listen, if I
sleep, maybe 16.
Yeah, if I go 20 minutes, I'm starting to get grumpy. Yeah.
It's a funny transformation that happens because, that's the first reaction. And everyone I normally talk to, it's like, if I go even, a couple hours, I get grumpy or, your blood sugar gets low or, and what happens is it is a mind over matter type of thing, because when I first read about it, I thought it was crazy. And it's funny because my brother started doing it just because he thought I was going to kill myself. So he wanted to check it out. So he started reading about it, and he lost 35 pounds as well. So, he's a smaller guy. He just had kind of the beer gut. But he slimmed down doing the same thing as me. So it's funny how it worked. But yeah, the answer is you do get used to it and your body adapts to it. And once you kind of realize that it's kind of a hormonal thing. The body tells you you're hungry, but once you just kind of tell your body to shut up and I'm not going to feed you, it gets the picture. So hunger is not constant. Hunger actually goes away. Now it comes back.
Sure it does.
But it's funny where you can kind of start to control it. And it's neat because after about the 48-hour point, you actually have this kind of Zen-like clarity where you're not hungry for a while. And I'm talking like 2 days, the third and fourth day, I actually just cruised right through. And then by the fifth day, I think in my head, I knew I was getting to the end of it and I started to get hungry. So those last like 8 to 10 hours, I remember I was just, looking at, gnawing apart the corner of my television set.
How did you break your fast?
Well, what I do, and that's something you really need to research. If anybody's out there listening and thinking about intermittent fasting, I do say do your research, because when you refeed after something like 4 or 5 days, if you just go hog wild and eat, a giant bag of, buffalo wings or something crazy, your stomach is going to hate you. And it is, I remember the first time that I refed, I ate like giant steak and all this other stuff, and my stomach was just a wreck. So what I recommend is breaking the fast kind of in an easy way. So like maybe some avocado, some grilled chicken, something simple. Let that settle in your stomach. Let all the digestive enzymes kind of get back to work. And then you can kind of start, getting back to your normal routine.
I usually break mine with just ordering every combo I can imagine at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, you got that one. Yeah.
I'll have one of everything, sir.
That's right.
One of the things you mentioned about, being a chef and being in that lifestyle and going, till 4 a.m. and whatnot. Part of the other stigma of being a chef is the phrase, never trust a fat chef or a skinny chef. So did that kind of play into it a little bit of like, well, I'm a chef, people want to know that I eat and I eat well. Did that play into any of the mentality of going through that? Or was it just, I just kind of gave up a little bit?
I must have been the most trustworthy chef out of anyone.
Right, sure.
Yeah, you'd see me coming a mile away and go, that guy knows what the hell he's doing.
Sure, right. And it's part of almost a pride thing as well.
Well, and I think, it's I guess that probably does play in it. I was always the jolly, funny, chef. I was great with the customers. I would go out drinking with the customers after work half the time, so I could definitely see that as something that probably not in the forefront of my brain, but it was probably somewhere in the background that, I'm a chef. I'm not expected to be in shape, or, I'm not, no one's expecting, me to live a healthy lifestyle. And but it kind of deteriorated. It got worse and worse and worse, like I said, to the point where I was having trouble standing through a shift, and, I couldn't work. And so it went from being kind of like fun and, jovial, to actually being, a health problem. So that's finally where, and I let it go pretty far, because again, I just kind of gave up on it. I just thought that's who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really, really sick. Ended up spending about a month in the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that was kind of where things started to turn around. And it didn't turn around all at once. See, my thing was I smoked, I drank, and I ate like crap.
Mm.
So I was like the trifecta of bad habits.
That's the restaurant trinity right there.
It really is.
You're a heart attack waiting to happen.
Yeah. The fact that I didn't have a heart attack and I was never diabetic is still astounding to my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he, as he puts it, I'm the healthiest obese man he's ever met.
Yeah. Been there. Yeah.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so, I started with quitting smoking. That was the first thing I did. And, I talked to my roommate, and we actually picked a day. We said, we're going to pick this day. We're going to stick to it. And that was probably about 5 years ago. So I quit smoking for 5 years. And then, I tackled, drinking for me. Now, I've listened to your guys' show a little bit, so I did a little background research. I'm a huge fan of bourbon.
Attaboy.
Bourbon is, whenever we would open up a restaurant, I would get one of the distributors to get me a bottle of Pappy.
Ooh, come on with it.
You still have this connection.
I was always, so that was always something. It was a tough connection. I do not think that I can acquire the things that I used to. The company I used to work for, we spent a lot of money, so they would scrounge me up a bottle. Even if it was only the 10-year-old, I would accept it.
Sure.
We're not savages. We're gentlemen. So I get into the habit of what I did was I quit drinking for about 6 months. I knew that I didn't want to quit drinking forever. I enjoy it. But what I did was I took a little, break from drinking, got that under control. And nowadays I have a couple drinks from time to time. If it's a Friday night and I'm cooking a good steak, I'm going to have a glass of whiskey with it, you know, but it's not the drinking to excess 7 nights a week and then passing out face down in a pizza. You know, there's a lot of difference between having a, you know, cocktail with your steak and having a bottle of whiskey with your pizza.
Yeah, sure.
Quick question about that. How did your social life, how did you have to adjust your social life? Because I know a lot of restaurants, the after hours are, the social aspect is heavily built around, you know, drinking and hanging out with your buddies afterwards, having a glass of beer, a bottle, you know, half a bottle of scotch, whatever it might be. How hard was that adjustment to make?
It was really easy because I quit my job.
Oh, wow.
Drastic measures.
Yeah, well, it got to that point. You know, I remember calling up the owner of the restaurant. And I said, man, I'm not doing you guys any good, and I'll be dead soon anyway. So I think this is the right time for me to step away. And so I kept trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. You know, I would diet, and I've tried every diet there was, and I've tried this and I've tried that, and I tried quitting smoking before, but it kept coming back to, it was the job that kept dragging me into these poor decisions. And I don't like to blame the job. You know, I love the restaurant business. I do miss it. You know, there's something to be said for having a packed reservation book and crushing every single, you know, dish that goes out of the kitchen. You know, all your customers are happy. Everybody made money. You know, there's that band of pirates mentality of having a successful kitchen, you know, especially a lot of the ones I worked for. And I do miss that camaraderie. I miss the intensity of it. But I also just had to kind of take a little, you know, step back and look at it and go, I had a good run. I still love to cook. And let's transition my cooking skills into something that's not going to kill me. So.
Yeah, staying on this side of the dirt is kind of important. So I think sometimes transition like that, because I knew my career was hazardous to my health. It should have came with a Surgeon General's warning, but I maybe it did, and I just didn't read it. But yeah, that's awesome story. But you still have the love of food, and I commend you what you're doing, because you've been quite a bit of an inspiration to the keto community that I follow, and I know that you're an active member on. I can't post on there because I get called out because people think I'm inciting riots on there sometimes. So I'm just a fly on the wall. But
because of bread, because of your love.
No, I do love bread. Right. But no, I'm a little. I don't know. Maybe I'm liberal on the food thing, because you know a lot of times you have these people that are really extremely hardcore. They count certain ingredients. And then sometimes I'll add some of those ingredients into my diet, and I get called out for it. So I just quit.
Gotcha.
I just had I get DMs all day on Instagram, and I had a guy, I used a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder in a recipe.
No.
And immediately, and you almost know it's going to happen, somebody will send you this message going, baking soda has cornstarch in it, not keto, in all caps.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
All right, keto Nazi, I got you.
And that's literally so. And you know, I didn't know how to deal with it at first, but then I just started getting snarky about it. I said, "Look, buddy, if that 1/4 teaspoon kills me, I'll risk it." You know, and you know, you got to look at. The one thing that drives me crazy about the keto community is how dogmatic it can be, and I think that goes for any diet. You know, you look at vegans, you look at vegetarians, you look at Weight Watchers people, you know, everybody wants to be part of some cult, I guess, you know, and as much as I enjoy the recipes and as much as I enjoy doing it, there is kind of a dark side to putting yourself out there in these communities, because I get messages all the time. Is that keto? Or, you know, so to clarify, ketosis is a metabolic state. It is where your body is burning ketones instead of sugars. So it's not a list of ingredients. It's not a secret decoder ring that you get. It's, you know, it is a lifestyle. And, you know, again, people get so dogmatic about it. And I'm like, look, buddy, you got to chill out. Like, you've got to live your life still. And you're not going to survive doing this if you can't make it sustainable. So the key is making all of this a sustainable thing to you, for yourself.
What's your kind of recent discovery as far as a food item, like food substitute that you've maybe, like, for example, I noticed the chaffle is a big thing in the keto community. Exactly. Is a big thing in the keto community right now. I haven't tried that yet, but I'm going to have to make a round of those because that seems like a very versatile item for a lot of menu items. And I guess maybe you can explain what a chaffle is because I saw it on your blog.
I need an explanation on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And, chaffle is one of those things that it's ingenious and it wasn't created by a chef. It was just created by some soccer mom. It's one of those things. It's the beauty of the community. A chaffle is basically cheese and egg put in a waffle iron and pressed. And it comes out like this kind of cheesy, crunchy, looks like a waffle. And I use it as a substitute for bread. I actually ordered Five Guys yesterday, and I just got the burger in a bowl thing, brought it home, made a chaffle, and I had a hell of a sandwich.
Had a boy.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I would have eaten even if I wasn't keto. I mean, just the idea of having cheese for bread is not a bad thing.
Sure.
No, it's like having bacon as bread.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you said you did a lot of research on which one you're going to go through or which diet or, that you're going to follow. Why keto? Why was that the one that you went with?
It seemed to be the most sustainable for me. As a chef, there's a lot of these ingredients that, get taken away from you with low calorie or low fat diets. And I tried that. And, I've lost weight on low fat diets. You can do that, but I was miserable. My energy was low. I felt like crap. And I was eating food that have you ever tasted fat-free mayonnaise?
Yes, sir.
That's one of the most vile creations of modern, technology. And so when I start looking at things that, are, I guess keto approved, for lack of a better term, but it's things like butter, it's things like meat, it's things like vegetables, things that I've cooked with my entire life. I just need to make a few kind of tweaks here and there. And, boom, I'm cooking fettuccine Alfredo with hearts of palm noodles. It's something called palmini. That's a new product. But, I'm having these rich, fatty sauces that, I grew up cooking in professional kitchens that, you make a little adjustment to. And now I'm eating. Whenever I cook a steak, I put, a big glob of blue cheese on top of it. It's very enticing when you look at the options and, just how much variety there really is. People always go, well, you can't have, noodles, or I can't have, you can make excuses. If you want to do it, you will do it. And for me, it was one of the most sustainable diets. There's something called fathead dough, and it's made with mozzarella cheese, egg, almond flour, and you can roll it out into a pizza crust and then load up your pizza like you normally would. And it's delicious. So, once a week I have pizza.
Yeah. You will never convince me, however, that you can use spaghetti squash as actual spaghetti. There's no way that's happening. I've tried it. It's not happening.
I understand. Look, I'm not the person who's going to tell you that almond flour is going to be a substitute and, for making a biscuit.
Sure.
A biscuit is never going to be a biscuit unless it's made with all-purpose flour, butter, all that good stuff. And it shouldn't be. A biscuit should be made as a biscuit.
Sure.
And I'm not so, I'm not one of those people that goes, that's a carb, I'll never eat that again. No, I know that right now that does not fit into my lifestyle. I know that when I do want to have a biscuit, I was just down in Austin, Texas, and I drove all the way from Maryland to Austin. So I had a lot of time on the road.
Sure.
And you're damn right, I stopped at a few, Bojangles along the way. And because we don't have those up here. So, I I start driving down I-81 and I see that. I'm like, yeah, we're going to make that happen.
Sure.
Did you do Whataburger biscuits in Texas?
Oh, buddy.
I did not have a Whataburger biscuit. I did have Whataburger, but without the bun.
Okay.
Well,
I also had In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, in Dallas, I guess.
Or when I was in Austin.
Oh, okay, Austin. Okay. Well, next time you're there in Texas, you got to try the Whataburger honey biscuit.
Yeah, buddy.
It's very, very delicious.
Stuff.
Have you tried making a keto version of biscuits and gravy?
I make a damn good gravy. I just can't get a biscuit that I'm happy with.
My wife found one recipe for that, and it's actually decent. Now, what do you use to thicken your gravy with?
What I use is normally just cream cheese and a little bit of xanthan gum.
Yeah, I've been turned on to the xanthan gum too. And the xanthan gum is, I mean, the only thing is you got to eat it hot. If you let it cool down, it kind of forms almost like a sticky consistency. Yeah, well, I guess
it turns into like a jelly almost.
Yeah,
it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's kind of like the jelly that you get out of a Spam can when you turn it over. Oh, yeah.
That's gross.
Yes, it can be a little, off-putting if it's and it's a very, powerful thing. You only need like a quarter of a teaspoon to like a half a teaspoon a lot of times. So you got to be careful with how much you use.
I made the mistake the first time putting like a whole tablespoon in, and that stuff locked up like my stomach after a Mexican fiesta restaurant. So.
Yeah. Well, you had plenty of spackle to redo the walls.
Popcorn ceilings.
Exactly.
One thing I noticed too in your story is that you were saying like when you went to go quit smoking, you had a friend help you with the smoking, to stop. You connected with that person, or your brother was trying to help you lose weight, so he tried it as well. How important is it to have those people around you to help facilitate and help push you and help keep you accountable?
It was definitely a big help for me. I think when you have people in your life that sabotage you, and sometimes it's intentional and sometimes they just mean well, but they do it anyway, and especially with food's so comforting. That's if you go to a funeral, what does everybody bring to the family of the deceased? They bring them food, food is always one of those things that people use to give comfort and to help, but sometimes that's the exact opposite of what that person needs. So for me, having a group of people that kind of finally understood what I was doing and they were supportive, and my roommate wanted to quit smoking too. So it was a perfect time for that. And we both were able to quit and use each other as a support, use each other as motivation. I think she didn't want me to quit smoking and have her fail. So out of just her own stubbornness, I think, she was able to quit. So, and I think I was the same way. We were both so competitive about it. It's like we weren't going to let the other one win. If spite is your motivation, go with it.
Yeah.
But then, my brother as well, he wanted to be helpful. And for so long, I don't think he knew exactly what to do to be helpful to me other than be, what he thought was supportive. But at the end of the day, I think being supportive was just kind of going along for part of that journey with me. And, he's not keto every day and, he drinks, beer sometimes. And, now I'm at that point where it doesn't faze me. But I think during that onboarding area where you're kind of just getting started, you need, everybody around you to be supportive. And that can be tough. I know a lot of people that don't have the support that I had and have to go it alone, or they have a family member that tells them this isn't going to work, you're going to die, this or that, and they're unsupportive. So I know it's tough for some people, but you just got to, and maybe reaching out on the internet is that place. Maybe going on Instagram and finding some people that have a similar journey to you. There's a lot of people that I talk to on a regular basis that I've never met in person, but they know my deepest, darkest secrets, after talking to them for a while and, going through a lot of the same things they did. So it's definitely important to have a support group.
Obviously it's sustainable. It's something that you've gone for what, 2 years now?
About 2.5 years keto, and it's still going.
Has there been any negative impacts of following that diet?
I can't think of any. I really can't. And my cholesterol's perfect. My blood work, it's so funny. Every 90 days since I've started keto, I go get my blood drawn. And I was very lucky, and not everybody has this. I have a doctor who's completely on board with keto. A lot of doctors that haven't, opened up a medical journal in 20 years, they can be, a little apprehensive about the whole keto diet. But my doctor was completely on board. And now when I go in to see him, we look over my blood work. All the numbers look great. And then we just talk about podcasts for 20 minutes. Did you listen to Joe Rogan this week? Oh, yeah, that was a good episode.
Maybe you could tell your doctor to listen to Southern Fried Philosophy. That'd be great.
I will let him know.
Awesome.
I got a question about that, too, as far as sustainability. For a lot of people, the obstacle is financial. Like a lot of reasons a lot of people eat badly is because they've been, I guess, brainwashed is not the right word, but conditioned to think that they can't afford to eat a certain way. Have you noticed, in your preparing these meals, what the cost of, preparing these meals is in difference to eating, obviously it's not like eating a box of Pop-Tarts, but I mean, if you're going to cook every night, is it on par with what you would spend on a not keto diet?
The simple answer is yes.
Okay.
And here's what I'll say. You find that you can eat things that are very expensive. You'll see the keto people that are like only grass-fed beef and, antibiotic-free this and organic that. And that's fantastic. But some people can't afford that. And I'll tell you, I shop at Aldi's. I'm pretty sure you guys have Aldi's.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan.
Yeah. I mean, I shop 90% of what I buy at Aldi's. You buy the ground beef, Aldi's chicken. I mean, I could buy a whole chicken for $5. So you get your chicken, you get your fresh veggies, you'll find yourself eating real food. And that's the thing that I really enjoy about it is you eat meat, you eat butter, you eat cream, you eat, vegetables, and you're eating real food. Now, the thing that I will say that's tricky is you do need to start cooking for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you're eating out 100% of the time, it's going to catch up with you. I eat out once, maybe twice a week, and there's definitely places to go. Jimmy John's has the Unwich. Five Guys has the bunless burgers, but a lot more places are starting to give, keto friendly options. Chipotle does the protein or the keto bowls now. So it's definitely a lot easier if you do need to eat on the go, and go out to eat, but learning to cook for yourself. And that's the whole mission of what I do is I want to make cooking fun, easy, and, exciting with keto, because a lot of people do get bored of just eating rolled up ham and cheese, and dipping it in mayonnaise. And that is delicious. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Or everybody wants to do a crock pot cracked chicken. That's the crock pot dishes are heavy, big on the keto.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I've tried to explain to people is that ground beef is cheap. Eggs are cheap. Bacon, maybe not so much, but you can get it on sale. Chicken, down here, chicken is $1.99 a pound. I mean, you can start out keto pretty cheap. And also if you add the intermittent fasting in, it's not like you're cooking for yourself 3 meals a day.
That's what I was going to say is like he hasn't eaten since Monday. So I think, he's not spending money on that. So there's that.
And it's true. I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey, and, he's hysterical because one of his callers called in once, talked about intermittent fasting. And the guy said the same thing. He's like, so you're telling me you haven't eaten or paid for food in 3 days? He goes, I don't know what intermittent fasting is, but I'm a fan.
But also on the cost analysis too, I mean, with health, and I have been the beacon, I've been the dartboard for health problems. You either pay for it now or you pay for it later, with eating. So just, whatever you put in your body now, if it's garbage in, you're probably going to experience garbage health problems later. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to, but this isn't a religion we're starting here. We're just trying to, to encourage people. I know that myself, I go to an advanced cardiology team because I had a heart transplant, and my doctor, my doctors are amazed. I mean, my numbers are great. And in fact, they're encouraging more and more people in the transplant unit to actually look at the diet, especially people that are pre-transplant. So, hopefully it continues. I don't think there's any reason why it wouldn't, but I know for me, like my joints don't hurt as much, except when I do stupid things. And, just actually being able to breathe a little bit, it's actually kind of cool too.
Oh, it's amazing to tie your shoes and not pass out. There's so many little things that, you took for granted, and when you were young and then you get out of shape and all of a sudden these things that you used to do without even thinking twice about it become a chore or become, looking at a flight of stairs and going, oh God, I don't know if I can make it up that,
I still do that, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I still shake my head and go, all right, can we stay on the main level? But but to get back to your original thing about the cost, one other point about the cost of keto is you're not snacking all day. With the standard American diet that they tell you, where you eat these small meals, all throughout the day, you end up eating 5 or 6 times. And that adds up, even if it's only a couple hundred calories. And I think the downside of the eating all day in these small portions is how well do people really portion out these meals? Because I think these small meals that they think they're eating end up being 4, 6, 700 calories sometimes. And then you add up and have 5 of those, and all of a sudden, boom, you're having 3,000-4,000 calories a day when you think you're having, 2,000 or 2,500.
Yeah, I have subscribed to that theory for several times throughout my adult life, where I've gone to the 5 or 6 small meals a day. But the only way that works for me is there's got to be an hour of exercise in there somewhere. There has to be a solid hour of exercise. Otherwise, you're exactly right. But because I'll just eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day, and it doesn't quite add up, right?
Oh, and it goes. They say that people underestimate their calories by up to like 45%. So when people are even like trying to I think they did like a questionnaire where they said, we want you to just write down the amount of calories you think you ate today. And then they actually went back and looked it up. And these people are like, off by thousands of calories. And then you take that and you put it over the course of, months and years. And, people sit there and they go, I don't know why this diet didn't work. It's because you're not doing it. You're sitting there, so you do have to kind of look at yourself and be honest with yourself. I know that I do better when I track even with keto. If I pay attention to my calories, I do a lot better than if I just kind of guesstimate, throw caution to the wind.
Well, man, we really appreciate you coming on. Anything else, Marty?
No, I've enjoyed this.
All right, Biggin?
So how can I subscribe to you making my meals and sending them via HelloFresh?
I get that question probably 4 to 5 times a day. We have not created the Culinary Lion delivery service just yet, but you never know what's around the bend.
Could I have you just stay at the house for,
He is talking about moving south.
Oh yeah.
I am looking to relocate somewhere down south. So
all right.
I haven't, I'm doing some reconnaissance, I think in September. So you never know.
Make sure you come down here and check us out. We'll even give you the grand tour.
That sounds like a blast.
So where can people find all your information? Where are they going to get? How can they connect with you?
All right. CulinaryLion.com is the website. So that's where you're going to find the blog and all the recipes. I also run a grilling barbecue website called grilling24x7.com. And so any of my barbecue, not all of it's keto, but a lot of it's great barbecue and grilling information. So that, again, grilling247.com. And then Instagram is Culinary Lion Keto, and then Culinary Lion on Facebook and Twitter as well.
Wow. Well, man, Frank, we really appreciate you coming on today, and hopefully our listeners will check you out. And I'm like I said, just direct message him if you have any questions, and I'm sure he'd probably assist you. I mean,
always feel free to hit me up. Very
passionate. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone tuning in this episode. Go check us out on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify.
Spotify is about right.
Pretty much any podcast aggregate that you choose, just go there, do a subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, helps us move up in the old love language of the algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
That way people can kind of check us out. Check us out on Podcoin. That's an app that you get paid basically to listen.
Yeah.
Also, give another shout out to my donor family, and go to your local Facebook page or your website in your local area. Just put in live share, and it'll actually kind of direct you to a place where you can actually get information about donating organs, because you don't need those when you pass. Mm-mm. Also, you can be a living donor too. Like I have a friend of mine that said he's he needs a kidney right now. So a living donor will suffice. So just check that out. Like I said, I love my donor family, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here today. Check us out at Facebook at Southern Fried Philosophy, or also our website at southernfriedphilosophy.com. The old Twitters and Instagram at SFP Radio. Our Patreon link at /SFP Radio. Where else?
That's about it. That covers it.
All right.
Thanks again for tuning in. And as always, keep looking up.